Want to speak real Hebrew from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at HebrewPod101.com.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Hebrew, including סליחה and אני מצטערת. אני מצטער. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Hebrew. Yes, numbers. מספרים, from 1 to 10. And you are going to learn them in only 3 minutes, ב3 דקות. You already know the first number from last lesson and can make a full sentence. Do you remember? קפה אחד, בבקשה. Ready? Let's start. אחד. אחד. שתיים. שתיים. שלוש. שלוש. ארבע. ארבע. חמש. חמש. שש. שש. שבע. שבע. שמונה. שמונה. תשע. תשע. And עשר. עשר. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. Ready? אחד. שתיים. שלוש. ארבע. חמש. שש. שבע. שמונה. תשע. עשר. Great job. What is before אחד? Do you know? It's אפס. אפס. You don't have any more excuses. You can give your friends your cell phone number in Hebrew. Let's try together. We'll use the phrase המספר שלי הוא, which means my number is. המספר שלי הוא. המספר שלי הוא 337 122 49 68. Can you read it by yourself? 3 3 7 1 2 2 4 9 6 8. Perfect. Now it's time for Yana's insights. When you travel in Israel, it's a good idea to start paying attention to the bus numbers, street numbers, dates, hours, and the local money, the shekel. It's the best practice to remember. You can start now if you are at your hometown to practice Hebrew numbers in your daily life. Do you know the Hebrew word for 100? In the next lesson, we are going to learn the numbers from 11 to 100 in Hebrew. Your task now is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson, from 1 till 10. להתראות ועד הפעם הבאה. ביי! Shalom, אני יאנה. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Hebrew. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Hebrew, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying. even if the answer is no. As already mentioned in previous lessons, in Hebrew there is a difference between male and female speech. So if you want to ask a woman, say, את מדברת אנגלית, את מדברת אנגלית. In Hebrew, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used, according to the gender of both the speaker and the addressee. At, in this case, is the female pronoun for you. So the verb מדברת, which means speak, refers to a female. For example, if I said, I speak English, it will be אני מדברת אנגלית. אני, as we learned already, means I am. Ani is the only way you can say I am in Hebrew, regardless of one's gender. Then, מדברת is the female conjugation for speak or speaking. So, אני מדברת אנגלית will be used only by a female speaker. On the other hand, if you're asking a man if he speaks English, you say, אתה מדבר אנגלית, אתה מדבר אנגלית. אתה, in this case, is the male pronoun for you. So the verb מדבר, which means speak, refers to a man only. So if you're a man and want to say, I speak English, it will be אני מדבר אנגלית. It is important to notice that in Hebrew the pronoun and the verb change according to female, male, and also to singular or plural of the same sentence. So basically there are 4 ways to say each phrase. But don't worry, we will talk more about that later. For now, please only remember that you can use both את מדברת אנגלית and אתה מדבר אנגלית only if you're addressing one person. So let's review them once again. את מדברת אנגלית if you're asking a woman, and אתה מדבר אנגלית if you're asking a man. Adding סליחה, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. סליחה, את מדברת אנגלית? סליחה, את מדברת אנגלית? Or, סליחה, אתה מדבר אנגלית? סליחה, אתה מדבר אנגלית? The responses you will receive could be one of these 3. כן, yes, כן. קצת, a little. קצת. לא, אני לא מדבר אנגלית. Or, לא, אני לא מדברת אנגלית. No, I don't speak English. לא, אני לא מדבר אנגלית. לא, אני לא מדברת אנגלית. To make every sentence negative in Hebrew, you only have to add לא before the verb, which simply means no. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Israeli people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute Anglit with Russit for Russian, Italkit for Italian, Sfaradit for Spanish, and Germanit for German. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression slicha. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Hebrew. It's never too late to show your good manners with Israeli people. I'll see you in the next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Alif Bit בקלי קלות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Alif Bit. In the last lesson, we learned the 3rd and 4th Hebrew letters, Gimel and Dalet. Do you remember how to write fish? And what about roof? In this lesson, we will learn how to write the word for love in Hebrew. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The fifth Hebrew letter is Hey. Hey sound is ha, but it can also sound like ah. You will see how it changes in a second. Let's first write it in handwriting. Hey. The print version is very similar. Hey. Make sure to keep hey curved while handwriting, but use sharp angles in print. So, as I mentioned, hey can sound like both ha and ah. The word ahava uses it in both ways. When hey appears in the end of the word, it will always sound as ah. Ahava is love in Hebrew. Let's try to write it down. Ah, pronounced ha. Remember the sound here is v, so we don't need a dot of bet. Pronounce ah. Let's do it once more in handwriting. Ahava. Ahava. Isn't it a beautiful word with a beautiful curved shape? Now let's do it in print. A, ha, va. So if you want to add the full nikud for this word, we need to use a new nikud symbol, patach. Just like kamatz from last lesson, patach has the sound of a. Now remember, when you write in modern Hebrew, you don't need to use the nikud system. It is there mostly for you to read, especially when learning new vocabulary, or if you want to study the Hebrew Bible. Now let's spell ahava with the full nikud. Ahava. A-ha-va. Ahava. Here's the print version. Here you saw how the letter hey can sound in two different ways. So you already know 5 Hebrew letters and several words. Don't forget to practice the characters in both handwriting and print. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Doesn't hey from this lesson sound like hey in English? When you say hello to your friends? That's exactly the sound for the Hebrew letter hey. Now you can think of the letter hey when saying hello to your friends and memorize it better. In the next lesson, we will see how one word can be pronounced in 3 different ways in Hebrew. It may sound confusing, but remember, you'll have the nikud to help you. See you next time. להתראות. Shalom, אני יאנה. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying תודה. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Israel. אתם מוכנים? Are you ready? אז בואו נתחיל. So let's start. The most used greeting is Shalom. Shalom. We also saw it in the first lesson. Shalom simply means hi or hello. It can also mean goodbye. We use it when we meet, but also can use it when we part. Shalom means something like peace, so it makes the greeting very special. It is common to say shalom in both informal and formal situations, and at any time of the day. In the morning, you can also greet people with Boker Tov. Boker Tov, which means good morning. Boker is morning, and Tov is good. During the evening, we also say Erev Tov. Erev Tov. Erev is Hebrew for evening, so Erev Tov means good evening. Boker Tov and Erev Tov are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. Another way to say goodbye in Hebrew is lehitraot. Le-hit-ra-ot. It is actually more common to use lehitraot than shalom when leaving. But most people in Israel just say bye. Bye! Now you can greet people in many different ways in Hebrew. Let's review them all again. When meeting people in formal and informal situations, shalom. In the morning until the afternoon we say boker tov, and in the evening erev tov. When living in any situation, lehitraot, or simply bye. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. In formal situations, Israeli people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on one cheek. Don't be afraid to do it with your Israeli friends. It's normal. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase "אתה מדבר אנגלית" or "את מדברת אנגלית." Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next עברית בשלוש דקות lesson. להתראות. Bye! שלום, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Alif Bit בקלי קלות. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Alif Bit. In the last lesson, we learned to write the most important word in Hebrew, ahava, the word for love. Do you remember the nikud for ahava? If you are not feeling confident about it, review the last lesson before continuing on from here. In this lesson, we will learn one new Hebrew letter and 3 more nikud. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The 6th letter is vav. The sound of vav is v or o or u, and it's written like this. That's it. Vav has only one stroke from top to the bottom. The print version is the same for vav, with only a small difference. In Hebrew, vav is not only the name of the character. It's also a word by itself. It means a hook. Doesn't vav look like a hook? You can write this word like this. It's just the letter vav 2 times. If you want to add nikud, it will look like this. Now we move on to the next nikud symbol, chirik, with the sound I, like in C. It's just 1 dot under the letter, I. Now you can write a very common name, one that belongs to the second and perhaps most famous king of the ancient kingdom of Israel, David. It's written with 2 dalet and 1 vav. The nikud here is important. Otherwise, it can have different pronunciation and meaning. Let's write this word. David. And now in print. David. The next nikud for this lesson is shuruk, with the sound u. This is how you make vav sound like u. For example, if we take the same letters from David and instead of chirik we add shuruk, it will be dud, electric water heater. Perhaps now you can appreciate the power of learning the nikud when you're first studying Hebrew. Let's write this word. Dud. And now in print. Dud. Notice how shuruk goes to the left of the vav. Seem complicated? Don't worry, we will review them all at the end of this lesson. But not before we will learn the last nikud for today. Cholam maleh, with the sound of O. This is how you make vav sound like o. Let's write this. D, o, d. Dod. And now in print. Dod. Notice that chola male appears above the vav. Now, shuruk and chola male are only written with the letter vav and not with any other letter. Chirik, however, will appear below other letters. Now let's see all the last three examples together and make sense of them. First, we had David, Dud, and Dod. Now let's have a short quiz. I'll show you the nikud symbol next to a letter and you have to pronounce its sound. Ready? A, U, I, O, A. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Since you will not see any nikud in modern readings in Israel, you will have to guess by the context of the sentence which pronunciation and meaning it has. It all comes with the experience of studying Hebrew vocabulary. Another tip is when writing the letter vav, it is important to keep the length of the stroke inside the frame. Otherwise, it becomes a different letter. But that's for later. So in this lesson, we studied the letter vav and three nikud in Hebrew: chirik, shuruk, and chola male. In the next lesson, we will learn two more Hebrew letters: zayin and chet. See you then. Bye!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Alif Bit בקלי קלות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Alif Bit. Over the next 20 lessons, you'll learn everything there is to know about reading and writing Hebrew. By the end, you'll even be able to read some portions of the Hebrew Bible. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. Hebrew has only one alphabet of 22 letters, so it's super easy. Once you know these, a few variations and a simple vowel system, you will be ready to read one of the most ancient languages in the world. As you may know, the Hebrew writing system is written from right to left. At first, this may seem intimidating or confusing, but you'll get the hang of it in no time. Let's start with the first letter, Aleph. What sound does Aleph make? In Hebrew, the name of each letter starts with a sound you use to pronounce it, which means the sound of Aleph is A. It is handwritten like this. Now, in Hebrew, there are always two ways to write a letter: the written way, which is used in everyday handwriting, and the print way, which you will see in books and newspapers, on signs, and so forth. This is the written way. The print version looks like this. When Israeli kids first learn how to write, they use this print typewriting. It's useful, and as you'll see later, very easy to learn both versions of every letter. Let's do it again. Here's the written form. And here's the print form. You can now write your first letter in Hebrew. Good, let's move on. The second character is bet. The sound of bet is B, and it looks like this. Pay attention to the dot. It has to be in the middle. The print version is like this. If you leave out the dot, bet becomes vet. The sound of vet is V, but we don't count vet as a separate letter in the alphabet. So far, you've studied 2 letters of the Hebrew Alif Bit, and you've learned 3 sounds. Want to write them once again? Let's do it! Okay, here is Aleph. This is handwritten. Aleph in print. And now Bet, handwritten. And Bet in print. Then Vet, handwritten. Vet in print style. Did you know you can already write a word in Hebrew? This is Abba. Abba in Hebrew means father. It is the first word every Israeli baby says. These are the simplest phonetic sounds. Try it out. Abba in handwriting. And now the print style. Abba. Great job! In this lesson, you learned the first 2 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph, Bet. You also practice your first word, in both print and writing styles. Before we move on to the next lesson, I want to introduce the Hebrew vowel system. Among 22 Hebrew letters, there are 5 vowels, one of which we learned in this lesson. But beside those 5, there is another vowel system called Nikud. Nikud are a series of dots or points that are used to indicate vowel sounds connected to consonants. Once you have more experience reading Hebrew, you may not see these symbols so often in native texts. But if you can master them when you start learning Hebrew, it will make learning Hebrew much faster and easier. The Nikud take the form of dots, lines, and combinations of the two, and are written in, under, on top, or beside consonant letters. Sound complicated? Don't worry, we'll take it slowly, and by the end of this series, they will seem easy. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Have you been writing as you watch? Hope so. There is no better way to master the Alif Bet quickly than to write them yourself. I also recommend that you make flashcards for each letter and study them whenever you get a chance. Do you know how to write dag, the word for fish, in Hebrew? It will definitely come in handy when you read a menu in Israel. And you learn that and much more in the next lesson. Lehitraot! Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's עברית ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Hebrew. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Hebrew expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Hebrew. In Hebrew, there is no formal and informal language. You can use this introduction in both cases and keep it simple. However, in Hebrew, there is a difference between male and female language. Let's first see how Israeli people introduce themselves in a simple way. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. Start by saying Shalom, אני, then saying your name. Shalom, אני Yana. Finally say נעים מאוד. Shalom, אני Yana. נעים מאוד. And now let's see the same sentence if you wish to be more specific in addressing the person you are introduced to. If you're introducing yourself to a woman, you should say, Shalom, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. Shalom, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. If you are talking to a man, you should say, Shalom, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Hi, I'm Yana. It's a pleasure to meet you. שלום, אני יאנה. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at this together. The last part of the introduction has been changed based on the gender of the person you are talking to. שלום, אני יאנה. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך for a woman versus שלום, אני יאנה. נעים מאוד להכיר אותך for a man. אני, in this case, has not been changed, and in both cases stands for I am, regardless of your gender. The last sounds of the last word changes, however. אותך, if you are talking to a woman, and אותך, if you are speaking to a man. One more time. The simple way to introduce yourself in Hebrew is Shalom, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד. In case you want to personalize the greeting, you say שלום, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. שלום, אני יאנה, נעים מאוד להכיר אותך. Now it's time for Yana's insights. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands in Israel. If you don't want to worry about using the right word for men and women, just say נעים מאוד, as I said at the beginning of this lesson. There is no cultural importance if you add the last part to the introduction. It just makes the sentence more complete. Do you know how to say thank you in Hebrew? You will learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. עד הפעם הבאה, till next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Yara, and today we're going to do top Hebrew phrases. These are very useful phrases you're going to hear a lot when you come to Israel, so make sure to memorize them. Okay, let's start. Shalom. Hello. Shalom literally means peace, but we use it also as a greeting. Shalom. Ma nishma? How are you? That's a very casual way of asking how are you, and it literally means what is heard. Like what have you been up to? What's going on with you? Ma nishma? Toda. Thanks. And probably the only way to say it, we don't have like thanks or thank you, it's just toda. Bevakasha. Please. Bevakasha, it means please, but it can also mean there you go. So you can say, אפשר לקבל מים בבקשה? Can I have water, please? And when you give someone water, you can also say, בבקשה. There you go. סליחה. Excuse me. It means excuse me or sorry. So when you like push through people in the bus, you can go, סליחה, סליחה, סליחה. But when you step on someone on the bus, you can also say, אוי, סליחה, I'm sorry. להתראות. See you. It literally means to see each other again. So it's like, to see each other again. להתראות. It's also very casual. בסדר. Okay. This is a very, very useful word. You can say it when someone asks you, how are you? בסדר. You can say it to show you understand something. When someone gives you direction, you're like, בסדר. It literally means in order, like everything's in order. טוב. Fine. Most of the time it means fine. Literally it means good. A lot like בסדר. How are you? טוב. To respond to a direction, like go that way, please. טוב. Fine, I understand. על לא דבר. You're welcome. We use it as you're welcome, and it literally means, oh, for nothing. Thank you. Oh, על לא דבר. It was nothing. It's maybe a bit more formal than בבקשה. Most of the times when people say תודה, you answer בבקשה. You can also answer על לא דבר. It's pretty much the same, though בבקשה is a bit more common. בוקר טוב. Good morning. בוקר טוב. which literally means good morning, and you obviously use it in the morning. Boker tov, laila tov, good night. So yeah, good night you can say when you leave a party at night, you can say, okay, bye, good night, laila tov. צהריים טובים, good afternoon. צהריים טובים, good afternoon. You can definitely say that, but you don't hear it that often. It literally means good noon. מה שמך? What's your name? For a male, it would be מה שמך. For a female, מה שמך? What is your name? You can also ask, איך קוראים לך? Which literally means how are you called? And this is the most common way to ask. נעים להכיר, nice to meet you. Literally, I guess it would mean pleasant. It is pleasant to meet you. And you can say נעים להכיר אותך for a woman, or נעים להכיר אותך for a man. איפה? Where? איפה התחנה? Where is the station? איפה is very important. You should memorize this one. אני מבין. I see. For a woman, it would be אני מבינה. I understand, I see. אני מבינה. מה השעה? What time is it? The literal translation would be what is the hour? This is how you ask. סליחה, מה השעה? Excuse me, what time is it? אפשר בבקשה לקבל? Can I please have? אפשר בבקשה לקבל מים? Can I please have some water? And this would be the same for a male speaker and for a female speaker. אפשר בבקשה לקבל? איפה השירותים? Where's the restroom? איפה השירותים? Where's the restroom? שירותים is restroom. איפה השירותים? Another one to memorize. אני מצטער. I am sorry. אני מצטער. Or for a female speaker, אני מצטערת. אני מצטערת להפריע. I'm sorry to interrupt. כן. Yes. You can use it in any way you used yes. Yeah, use it. Be positive. לא. No. I like this word. It has a fun sound, and it was my sister's first word. לא. No. בא לי. I feel like. בא לי. It's two words. בא לי. And it means I feel like, I want. And you can also use it as a negative. בא לי גלידה. I feel like ice cream. I want ice cream. לא בא לי ללכת לבית הספר. I don't feel like going to school. So it's very useful. Children use it a lot, but grown-ups use it too. די. Enough. Stop. It sounds really bad, but it's harmless. It means enough or stop. When someone is like bugging you, poking you, like, די. Stop it. Enough. Yeah. כמה זה עולה? How much is it? כמה זה עולה? How much is it? How much does it cost? מעולה. Awesome. Great. I guess maybe the Hebrew equivalent of the word awesome, it's מעולה. The masculine form is מעולה and the feminine is מעולה. Like, ההופעה הזאת מעולה. This show is awesome. It's great. איך היה הטיול? היה מעולה. How was the trip? It was מעולה. Great, awesome. Okay, that's it for today for top Hebrew phrases. Thank you so much for watching. And what is your favorite Hebrew phrase? Tell us on the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Phrases. I forgot my name.
שלום, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Alif Bit בקלי קלות. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Alif Bit. In the last lesson, we learned the first two letters of the Alif Bit. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we'll move on to the next couple of letters and the first nikud symbol. So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The third letter of the Alif Bet is Gimel. The sound of Gimel is G. Let's first see how to write it by hand. Gimel in handwriting. And in print it looks like this. Gimel. They look quite different, don't they? But the good news is that you already can write another Hebrew word, gag. This means roof in handwriting. Gag. And in print it looks like this. Gag. Here you may be a little confused. If you were to see this word written, you might want to read it as gug. There is no vowel sound. In Hebrew, the vowels are often not written. You would know that this word is pronounced gag because it has been taught to you before. And this is why the nikud is so important. The nikud shows learners of the Hebrew language what vowel sound is used in words, but don't rely on them too much. As you get more experienced with Hebrew, you should be able to remember how to read words, even if the nikud is not attached. Now it's time to introduce to you the first nikud. Remember, nikud are small points and lines that are placed in, under, on top, or beside consonants. The first one has the sound a, just like aleph. This is kamatz, and it looks like this. And it's always written right under the consonant letter. Let's write roof a couple more times while pronouncing its sound, a. So for example, gag in handwriting looks like this. Gag. And in print, gag. Also, the word Abba has kamatz under two of its letters. Abba. And in print version, Abba. So now you can read and write two words in Hebrew using the full vowel system. You can adjust the sound of the letter Gimel by writing a comma right here. Now it is read J, as in the name George. First the Gimel, and then the comma on the upper left side. And in print it looks like this. So now let's move to the fourth letter, Daled, with the sound of D. Daled. That's it, just one curve for the handwriting. And Daled in print looks like this. Daled. So let's make another word with the letter Gimel and Daled. Here, dag means fish. This will come in very handy whenever you are in a restaurant. Let's write it. Da, g. And now in print. Da, g. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Don't get lost in studying and forget the real world. Find Hebrew letters around you. Don't see any Alif Bit letters around you? Go to HebrewPod101.com and check out the Alif Bit transcripts for every lesson dialogue. You may not be able to read them all yet, but you can get a feel of how the Hebrew letters are used in real life. Do you know what ahava means? It's the most romantic word in Hebrew. You will be able to write and read this and much more in the next lesson. See you then. Lehitraot. Shalom, ani Yana. Hi everybody, I'm Yana. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Ivrit ב3 דקות, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Hebrew. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying Toda. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Israel. אתם מוכנים? Are you ready? אז בואו נתחיל. So let's start. The most used greeting is Shalom. Shalom. We also saw it in the first lesson. Shalom simply means hi or hello. It can also mean goodbye. We use it when we meet, but also can use it when we part. Shalom means something like peace, so it makes the greeting very special. It is common to say shalom in both informal and formal situations, and at any time of the day. In the morning, you can also greet people with Boker Tov. Boker Tov, which means good morning. Boker is morning, and Tov is good. During the evening, we also say Erev Tov. Erev Tov. Erev is Hebrew for evening, so Erev Tov means good evening. Boker Tov and Erev Tov are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. Another way to say goodbye in Hebrew is lehitraot. Le-hit-ra-ot. It is actually more common to use lehitraot than shalom when leaving. But most people in Israel just say bye. Bye! Now you can greet people in many different ways in Hebrew. Let's review them all again. When meeting people in formal and informal situations, shalom. In the morning until the afternoon we say boker tov, and in the evening erev tov. When living in any situation, lehitraot, or simply bye. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yana's insights. In formal situations, Israeli people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on one cheek. Don't be afraid to do it with your Israeli friends. It's normal. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase "אתה מדבר אנגלית" or "את מדברת אנגלית." Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next עברית ב3 דקות lesson. להתראות. Bye!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.